Come to Mother, Lily. I will protect you.
Myra?
Get away. You can't have her.
Myra Hanson is one of the main characters and catalysts for the events of the game The Evil Within 2. The wife of player character Sebastian Castellanos, Myra has been working for the shadowy organization Mobius for years, and has garnered herself quite an important role with the company. Her time with the organization, however, was all secretly in service to her true goal of rescuing her abducted daughter, Lily Castellanos, and taking her away from the clutches of this powerful organization.
How did we get here? What are you talking about? Just give me a minute. I need to get my head straight.
Myra! We need you back here.
All right. But we've got word he wants a debriefing as soon as you get back.
Myra.
The story of Myra as we know it begins with her connection to her future husband, Sebastian Castellanos. During the events of Sebastian's first encounter with a STEM system, we learn of his backstory through documents scattered around the world. These documents recounting his life leading up to the events of Beacon. Sebastian met Myra Hanson the first day that he became a detective. Myra was his first partner, and from day one, he had a thing for his no-nonsense coworker. This crush slowly grew into a relationship that was against the KCPD's code of conduct, and so once their involvement became known, Myra was reassigned to a new partner, as was Sebastian. This didn't stop their feelings, however, and the two KCPD detectives made it official with a wedding in September of 2005, shortly followed by a little baby girl only 10 months after they'd said their vows. Lily Lynn Castellanos was born in July of 2006, and with her birth, Sebastian and Myra were the happiest that they'd ever been. Life continued on for the family, Myra and Sebastian carrying on with their careers, and Lily grew into a bright, happy young child. That is, until tragedy befell the family in February of 2012.
No, this is not happening!
In 2012, the Castellanos family would be shaken to its very foundation as the couple's daughter, Lily Castellanos, would supposedly be lost to a fire that claimed her life as well as her nannies while Myra and Sebastian were out of the house. This loss hit the couple hard, and each of them tried to cope with it in their own way. Sebastian turned to alcohol to numb his pain, while Myra fell headlong into conspiracies. Myra couldn't accept her daughter's death. She refused to believe that the fire that had burned down their house and uprooted their lives was a mere accident. Myra's marriage began to fall apart as she obsessed over what could have possibly happened, and Sebastian drowned his sorrows in whiskey. For nearly 7 months, the pair continued to drift apart, until one day, Myra had vanished. There was no sign of foul play, but things such as her car, her computer, and some of her belongings had been taken from the Castellanos' home. Those who knew the pair assuming that she'd simply left Sebastian, a result of his constant drinking. But the truth was that Myra had found evidence of something. Proof that her daughter's death was not just a circumstance of fate. Chasing that thread all the way to the doors of the Mobius organization. Myra, of course, knew that this hunt would be dangerous, knew that there was a high probability that she could die in her pursuit of justice for her daughter. She told Sebastian of these theories that Lily had been taken by an organization that had been kidnapping people for quite some time. But he didn't believe her, and so she set out to chase these conspiracies on her own.
Stop and listen to yourself, Myra. A secret society abducted Lily and staged her death? Do you realize how crazy that sounds?
But it's true. Why can't you understand that?
I know it's hard to accept, Myra. But she's gone. Our little girl is gone.
But I have proof. Look.
Myra, you're obsessed. You need rest. Once you get past this you'll learn to accept...
No. I'll never accept it. If you won't help me, I'll find out the truth on my own.
After leaving home, Myra manages to infiltrate the Mobius organization, working within their ranks to find out what she can about the supposed death of her daughter. She has some involvement in the events at Beacon, but most of her time seems to have been spent working on Mobius's new version of STEM. A version that would see the trial of a new, different kind of core. A child core, with an unfettered ego. A core that had been hand-picked by some of Mobius's highest-ranking staff. A core named Lily Castellanos. Over the course of the next 3 years after the Beacon incident, Myra was blessed to see her daughter that she'd thought she had lost. Mobius even allowing her visitation, no doubt as a way to keep the core, Lily, happy. However, while Myra played the part of the dutiful worker while Mobius was looking, in secret she began plotting a way to free her daughter from this captivity and destroy the company that had taken her in the first place. With the help of a few other Mobius agents, Myra came up with a plan. A plan which would see her and a colleague named Theodore Wallace enter into the world of STEM and attempt to get Lily out before Mobius would be any the wiser. Once Lily was freed, Myra would take on the power of the core, and using that power, she would take out all of Mobius in one fell swoop via a chip that was planted in their heads as policy, connecting them to the STEM system. A co-conspirator named Julie Kidman helped Myra and Wallace enter the STEM system. But once inside, Wallace turned traitor. He attempted to take Lily from Myra, take the power of the core himself, and in so doing, make Mobius operate for his own needs. This turn of events forced Lily to flee the scene as Myra held off Wallace, causing the state of disarray that Sebastian would later find when he was called in to fix the issues in the STEM system.
There she is. Quickly, Theodore, What are you doing?
Did you really think I was going to let you destroy Mobius? They may be short-sighted, but they're far too valuable to me. When I control them, when I control STEM, only then will they reach their full potential. Now.
Throughout the events of the game, Myra is largely a background presence, presumably searching for her daughter just as Sebastian is. She eventually finds Lily after the death of Stefano, but she's been corrupted by her time inside of STEM. We're never really given an explanation as to how or why Myra becomes this shell of her former self. However, it seems likely that this is the result of her attempting to take on the responsibilities of the core. A process which makes a person lose their personality as they attempt to support so many interlinked minds. This loss of her personality changes Myra, and she becomes obsessed with protecting her daughter, becoming almost tyrannical in her attempts to do so. Myra attempts to keep her mind in check, but continues to lose herself, until finally Sebastian manages to track her down to a recreation of their former home, back from a happier time in their lives. This results in a conflict between the married couple, and when Sebastian manages to defeat the dark side of his wife, she manages to regain control of her mind. With clarity returned to her, Myra urges Sebastian to leave her, telling him that she will take care of Mobius, destroy them so that their daughter can be free, so that Sebastian can regain some semblance of his life before the accident. And to achieve this goal, Myra Hanson takes on the mantle of the core, as the world of STEM collapses in all around her.
Lily. Sebastian. I love you both. Now you'll be safe.